This is Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life on a feel good Friday morning. Oh, yes, 11th day of October 2024. It is that time to get into the world of sports in the locker room. Ayokunmi is right here with you. Alongside me is the one, the only, reporting live from you. Tega Supreme is online. Tega, good morning to you. How you doing today?
Good morning. How about you?
I don't speak the language, unfortunately, but
Come
I'm
on, you
guessing.
have to learn. I just asked, how are you?
Oh,
What
I
is
am
wrong
fine.
with you?
I am fine. I am doing very well, thank you.
All right, locker room. Good morning, everybody. I'm reporting live from. You can see behind me is the Godswill Aquabio Stadium, where later on tonight the Super Eagles. Sorry, this evening because it's 5 p.m. This evening, where the Super Eagles will be taking on their counterparts Libya in what is the African Cup of Nations. I have had fresh air for the first time in 3 days. I woke up to no exhaust smoke. The air was fresh. I could smell the green grass. I could smell the soil. Yes. And then I ate white soup. Afiai ferry. That's what it's called.
Mm.
My goodness. I can still taste it in my mouth. That's how sweet the white soup was.
At
So
this
yes,
rate,
we are
Tega,
in
you're
the
not
land
coming
of
back to
you.
Lagos at this rate.
And I said, people have to beg me. People have to beg me because the air is too fresh here. All right. So we'll be talking about the Super Eagles. We'll also touch on what is happening in China. We'll talk about Rafa Nadal, 22-time Grand Slam champion,
Mm.
exiting the sport. We'll touch on that. And then we'll also talk about other um, football matches from Europe. So we'll talk about Italy, 2 goals up, match ended 2-2. What happened? All of that and more in the locker room today. But before we do any more talking, Ayo, tell us, how can we be a part of the locker room this morning?
All right, I am reporting live from Lagos, Nigeria. You can join us on the locker room by sending your thoughts in on WhatsApp on 0809 444 981. That is the number to send your messages into. You can also give us a call on the studio line. It's 0201 4489981. When we open that is. We're also streaming live on YouTube. You can see Tega out there in Uyo, and of course the stadium, beautiful stadium right there behind her YouTube. It's Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That is how I'll be spending this morning on the locker room. Come through. It's all about Super Eagles this evening. So we'll be talking about that and a whole lot more. Super Eagles head coach Augustin Eguavoen says he targets double over Libya as Super Eagles eye qualification. On Wednesday, he said he wants to be successful. Now he says he targets a double over them. He has spoken. Alcaraz
Exactly.
out.
Now he's specific about what
Exactly.
we should expect. So
Mm.
before we're saying, oh, success can mean we'll still be at the top of the group at the end of this international break. But now he's categorically saying 6 points.
Mm.
He didn't even stutter when he said it. So this
With his
was
full
yesterday
chest.
at the with his full chest. This was yesterday at the press conference, where he was at the press conference with Captain Trust Ekong, and they were talking about the match just before their training. It was, well, the first 15 minutes were open and then the next was tactical. So they shut the doors. So trust me, they're going to be unveiling some tactics you have not seen before. The
Mm.
math will be mathing, hopefully. All right. So it is important. But first of all, we have to touch a little bit on what happened to the Libyans arriving Lagos. They were so angry, and it was mentioned also during their press conference that, they arrived in Port Harcourt and nobody was ready to receive them. Again, what the South Africans complained about. Now, the NFF said they had thought that they were going to arrive in Uyo and they had prepared for immigration to meet them at Uyo,
Okay.
only for them to get the information when the Libyans were already in the air on their way that the Libyans were going to arrive in Port Harcourt. And I'm saying, I may understand that some countries, when they look at the map logistically, Port Harcourt is closer to Uyo. So it may make sense to arrive in Port Harcourt and it doesn't have the busy traffic of Lagos, so that they arrive in Lagos and then they start to travel to Uyo. Logistically, it may sound cheaper, but it's also something I think about the communication, especially because it had happened with another country.
Mm. Mm.
Everybody should have dotted their I's and crossed their T's. We can't keep saying that the rivals are the ones getting it wrong. This is two different countries.
That is not a good
two
look
different
at
times.
all.
Yeah, so it cannot just be the rivals are getting it wrong. At some point in time, we're going to have to share some in some of that blame. But fortunately for us, the NFF were able to, run into the rescue. They jumped in and quickly scrambled some immigration officers to Port Harcourt and were able to clear the Libyans in time. But it could have been frustrating for the Libyans just coming and nobody was ready to receive them. So again, we have that. So now, even if they were not fired up before, they are doubly motivated. So the Super Eagles have to be extra motivated. Yes, you know how it is when somebody hurts you, you'll be like, I'll catch you on the pitch.
I'll see
So
you in front.
I'll see you in front. So they're doubly motivated. And we should be doubly motivated to defend our home soil. This is our sacred ground. We are going to be playing our qualifiers. Even the one in November would hopefully be played here. So so far this is the only CAF approved stadium we have in Nigeria. So we better defend it. The last time out it was 4-0 against Libya. So they have two motivations for revenge. That horrific 4-0 loss, and then and then
Logistical nightmare.
this logistical nightmare. Yes, like you said, it's so doubly motivated. We have to be extra motivated too. Okay, the sun is coming out. I think I may have to dock.
That would be a good idea. Tega. I mean, we are really hoping that the Super Eagles will come clutch in that game today. Nigerians have a very good feeling. I mean, looking at Super Eagles players all around Europe doing the business and, playing more or less at the top of their games and hoping they bring all that to the
To
national
Nigeria.
team
So we want
front.
to open the phone lines now. We want to feel the pulse of the fans. Are you hopeful for a victory today, or what do you think will happen in the match between Nigeria taking on Libya at 5 p.m. in Uyo? The numbers to call are.
All right, the numbers are 0201 4489981. 0201 4489981. That is the studio line. If you can't get through there, you can also call on WhatsApp if you're in diaspora, or that's more convenient for you. 0809 4440981. That is the WhatsApp number. You can share your messages there. You can call there and call the studio line as well. Let us know your thoughts. It's Nigeria versus Libya, 5 p.m. at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium out there in Uyo. African Nations Cup Morocco 2025 qualifier. It is going to be absolutely stupendous, if I can put it that way. But let's get your thoughts on how that match is going to pan out. So I'll wait for your calls right there and your messages as well. Tega, let's talk about the great one in the world of tennis, and that is Rafael Nadal. But before we get into him, world number 2, Carlos Alcaraz was knocked out of the Shanghai Masters in straight sets by 33rd ranked Thomas Machak on Thursday, losing pardon? Mahach. Okay, thank you for that, Tega. That's why you are the supreme. The Czech will face world number 1 Jannik Sinner in the semifinals after a surprisingly straightforward 6-1, 6-4 victory over an injured Daniil Medvedev earlier on.
All right. So Thomas Mahach in recent time has completely changed his tactics, changed his game, and he has taken scalps of everybody. He beat Novak Djokovic earlier in another tournament. He beat Daniil Medvedev in this tournament, and then the way he took out Carlos Alcaraz. Yes, Carlos Alcaraz made a lot of errors yesterday, but they were not all unforced errors. They were forced errors. It was the way Mahach approached the match. He was a little shaky in the beginning, maybe because he was nervous because Carlos Alcaraz had beaten him one time too many. And some of the defeats were fresh in his mind. But after the early nerves from the first 2 or 3 games, he stepped up. My goodness. And it was blinding. Carlos Alcaraz wasn't reading his game enough, but he was getting looks into Carlos Alcaraz's game. And when Carlos Alcaraz is under pressure, he does one thing all the time. He starts playing more aggressive. Now, if you play more aggressive, you may intimidate the opponent, but sometimes it also means you'll make a lot of errors. And so his game was error-strewn, and Mahat was picking him off like ripe apples every day of the week. It was beautiful to watch. Carlos Alcaraz did not lose that match yesterday. He was beaten. resoundingly. So, he shocked him, and and it came just after the announcement. He had seen the announcement of Rafa Nadal, so I don't know if he was having some emotional moments from the Nadal announcement all the way to the match, but he was resoundingly beaten. So Mahat now has beaten. He beat Novak Djokovic when Novak Djokovic was world number one. He beat Daniel Medvedev. He has beaten Carlos Alcaraz now. He's facing Yannick Sinner next. So he wants to take the scalp of everybody. He's like, I just want to show people that I'm ready. So let's see how that will turn out. The difference between Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner is that Yannick Sinner is very methodical. He has a process. He slowly builds. He has a strategy. Carlos Alcaraz plays a lot more on his talent. He's a lot more dependent on his gifts and his athleticism. Okay. Yannick Sinner is methodical, and that's what makes Yannick Sinner harder to beat than Carlos Alcaraz. Carlos Alcaraz is brilliant, beautiful to watch, exciting for the game, but Yannick Sinner is more structured, and that's the reason that's, I think, the only reason he's world number one. That's, I think, the only reason why he has just that slight edge over Carlos Alcaraz.
I'm talking about Rafael Nadal.
And now let's talk about Rafael Nadal.
King of clay.
Look, I don't know. People were surprised, and I don't know why. The guy has clearly been fighting his body for 10 years.
We've talked about this.
Yes,
right here.
He's been fighting his body for 10 years. And so he's been trying to recover. Remember, he was supposed to play at Laver Cup. He had to pull out, announced he was pulling out of Wimbledon, was announcing he was pulling out of everything just a week before, which meant that he was preparing and thinking his body could make it. And then he will find out that his body cannot make it just a week or a few days before. So it was a struggle for him to come back. It was obvious that the end was near. The question was not if, the question was when. And so I was sad when he was leaving, because he was not necessarily leaving on his own terms. Same thing with Federer. They didn't leave on their own terms. It's not like Pete Sampras that said, you know what, I'm done, and walked away. They weren't living on their own terms. But I wasn't surprised that, he had to go. But he has created a legacy. That guy at 16, the madness he did at 18. And so he's one of the, he started really early, because a lot of people say Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal, but Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal shouldn't have been in the same sentence earlier on. The big three actually came after, because Roger Federer is 5 years older. In sports, that's a decade difference. Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal were not the same set. Roger Federer set is like Leighton Hewitt. Roger Federer extended into Novak Djokovic and the Murray and Rafa Nadal time. But the reason he was also able to extend was because Rafa Nadal started winning on clay courts early.
Right.
That's one of the reasons. So that rivalry now became stronger. And people forget the age difference. People forget all that gap. And they just say, oh, they are the same era. They are not the same era. But he started very early. And from the minute he stepped on court, everybody knew there was something special about the boy. And he delivered 22 Grand Slams. He's won Olympics. I don't know that
he's done it all.
He's covered everything. And so he's going to end his time out at the Davis Cup in Malaga. I don't know that there will be tickets left. I think they are going to sell the airspace above the stadium, just so that people can watch it. But what an awesome, amazing career. And the tributes have been pouring in, not just from tennis players. Messi also had a tribute. Messi, that likes to stay in the closet. He came out of the closet to wish Rafa Nadal a happy retirement. I was like, that is influence. That is influence and impact. So I won't say a sad one, even if I felt sad. I'd say congratulations to him on an excellent career. Definitely one of the tennis greats.
Most definitely. Happy retirement to Rafael Nadal. I mean, people tend to forget he's 38. So, yeah, there's that as well. Amazing.
He wasn't coming back.
Let's take a quick break right now. We'll come back in. Let's talk about our brothers from Ghana. And, of course, their draw against Sudan in their own African Nations Cup qualifiers, Morocco 2025. Keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. Okay, there are a few messages on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, we can come in with those messages and open the phone lines again.
Oh, oh boy. Uh, yeah, muted though, in case you're talking to me.
Sorry, I had to take that quick phone call.
Oh, okay, you're on the phone. I didn't realize.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to take that. I had to take a quick because I'm using a different data. I have to take that quick phone call to arrange
Okay.
myself for this stadium. See my accreditation. Congratulations. See now,
Raise
CAF
it, raise it, raise
accredited.
it. I can't see raise it. Okay,
CAF
okay, nice.
accredited. Don't be talking to me anyhow.
I'll be friending you more now. I'll be friending you
Do you
more.
understand? I'm not easy like that. I'm not easy like that. You understand? Just you have to be seeing me now with a PA.
Don't worry. It's we now. It's we. Don't be saying this
It's a
thing.
lie.
Oh, wow. This life no balance.
You know balance at all.
All right. Let's dive back in. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Locker Room on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. You love music, love life, and of course, love sports station as well. On a Feel Good Friday, Ayokunmi here. Tega Supreme is also with me, not live in the studio, but live from you. Yes, she is doing the business right there. It's all about the Super Eagles later on this evening, but she is still with us in the locker room this morning, bringing us the best of the best of the best sports news and a whole lot more. You also can come through and join us on the conversation. We really would love to know your thoughts about the game coming up this evening, the Super Eagles of Nigeria versus their counterparts from Libya, 5 p.m. at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo. What are you looking to see in that game? What are your hopes, aspirations, and do you think Super Eagles are going to do the business and get 3 points in that game? Come through, share your thoughts with us on WhatsApp, first of all. 0809-444-0981 is the WhatsApp number. You can send messages. You can call as well if it's convenient. The studio line, which is open as an open net, 0201 4489981. 0201 4489981. That's the studio
Or you
line.
should
Let's
say
take
as open as the Libyan net.
okay, as open as Libya will be come 5 p.m. I love that. I love that. Let's take some messages on YouTube. LK Adoroba says, I'm still wondering which one Tega loves best: tennis, football, Formula One, boxing, or food. My best is the last one. I'm not surprised there.
We are not.
Tega loves it all. Tega loves it all. Big Mayor says, okay, Tega, just 2 seconds outside the cold locker room and you're smiling like this. You've left Ayo, a single, lonely, cold individual. There is going to. And he says Italy can't return to their previous glory. Okay. Let's get back into the story. We'll take more messages as we get along. And once we talk about those stories, we will touch on these messages as well. Ooh, AY from Miniru says on WhatsApp, he says, Tega Messiri, hope the weather over there in New York is great. I'm sure it is. I mean, the sun is shining brilliantly.
The sun
Like,
is shining. That's why I docked. But that's what you want. You don't want the rain to fall. You want the sun to shine.
definitely. He says the Super Eagles just had to get that win against Libya today. Nothing short of a win will be accepted. Okay, let me pause there and get back into the stories. Let's talk about our brothers from Ghana. They endured more frustration on match day 3 in qualifying for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations after they were held to a goalless draw by Sudan at the Accra Sports Stadium. Otto Addo is feeling the heat, definitely.
Let me tell you, there is no pleasure more than a Super Eagles victory than a Ghanaian struggle. Once it comes to football, we are so no. Once it comes to football, music, and jollof, we are so excited when Ghanaians struggle. Those 3 things. Any other thing after that, you have to check yourself. But those 3 things are important, and it's such a struggle. They haven't been able to set off, and now their fate is literally no longer in their hands. So the mathematics that the Ghanaians are calculating now, ordinary calculator cannot do it. So it's scientific calculator you need for it now. Ordinary calculator cannot help them. They have to hope that the other teams in their group lose. Then they will hope that the Sudan that they did not beat at home, that they'll be able to beat that Sudan away. There's just a lot of hope going on. And prior to this game, the video of the GFA president talking to them and ranting at them before the match. And some people said it was very harsh and mean. I think because it was an open meeting, it should have been allowed to fly. Everything he said should have been allowed to fly. My biggest issue was that they now let what was in the locker room come out to the world. That's my biggest issue. Because it's one thing to say that after the match, that the president laid into them and he said this and he said that. It's another thing to see when that happened and how that happened. I think that was the only big issue with it. But already Ghanaians were upset, and it was evident in what the president was saying to the players, only for you to think that would have lit up some spark under the Ghanaian players and they will be able to come in and play. Unfortunately, they didn't. So we are excited about these struggles that they're having. Long may the banter continue. All right, let's take those phone calls.
All right. Hello, good morning, Locker Room, Smooth 98.1.
Good morning. My name is Paul calling from Tega.
Welcome, Paul. Talk to us.
Look, we are going to beat the Libyans. We are going to beat them back. That's 6 points we are taking in.
Confidence.
Although back to the world, because we will also have a few Boniface. You can shine outside, but when it comes to Nigeria, you struggle. You better get it over with. Yes. And I said that they work together as a team to win. We are solidly behind you. Listen, my sister, over there.
All right, thank you for sharing.
All right, thank you, Paul. Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Paul is so confident. In fact, I'm so confident I can walk out here and my tank will be full. I'm that confident right now. That's how I feel. Confidence. Love it. All right, keep those thoughts coming in. 0201 4489 981. That is the studio line to give us a call and share your thoughts about what you think is going to go down at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo between Nigeria and Libya. All right, Tega, let's still stick with football stories here. Let's talk about a country where it never seems to come home, and that is England. Oh, yes. Greece beat them for the first time as Evangelos Pavlidis struck twice in a deserved 2-1 victory in Nations League Group B2 at Wembley on Thursday. Tega, what was Carsley doing?
Pavlidis did not strike twice. So he struck 4 times. They just 2 were offside. No, you didn't just see the goals. You did not see the match. As he was scoring it, I was like, these people. So they came there to beat England. It was the kind of beating that England deserved. So a lot of people had talked about the preferred lineup, what they should do, why they should do it. And you know how they talk about their players. And then you saw the formation that the coach came out with. I was like, I was very confused. There's some things. There's some things that, some coaches do. You'll be like, okay, I don't trust this formation, but I know the coach. Do you understand? Like when you saw Mourinho in Inter Milan play Samuel Eto'o as a 3, you were okay. You were just like, it's Jose Mourinho. These kind of things can happen. But when you see a pretty much green coach attempting some formation that his CV does not, he shouldn't have the spine to bring out that kind of formation. The effrontery to bring out that formation. And the truth of the matter is, yes, if he had worked, everybody would be like tactical genius, but he didn't. It flopped shamefully. The Greeks scored 4. In fact, that Pavlidis himself put the ball in the back of the net 4 times. Only 2 were legal, and that's why the match ended 2-1. And to make matters worse, I don't know how it happens, but somehow England were beaten, but it's Mikel Arteta that is crying because Bukayo Saka was holding the back of his leg, and then he was stretched up. So you can tell that maybe a hamstring injury. So a tough one for them. They didn't have Harry Kane and Jack Grealish. Those were struggling with injuries. They're saying that maybe for the match against Finland, Harry Kane and Grealish should be fit. I don't know what Bayern will have to say about Harry Kane being fit enough to play for England quickly when they need him to be fit enough to play for them.
But Tega,
So
Hurricane aside, he had Dominic Solanke and Ollie Watkins on the bench. I mean, he had two other strikers on the bench.
no, Jude Bellingham is. I said the nerve of him. He said, "Look, why don't you just put people in their places, especially when you are a green coach? Keep it simple. Do the basics. When you get to a particular level, we can tolerate your extravagances. But as a young coach, keep it simple. Play Jude Bellingham in his position, put Watkins in his position. Just play your players in their position. Don't try anything risky. Went to try it against the Greek. The Greek god came down and was angry. Had to fire up some storm there. And so they lost that one. And trust me, the post-mortem of the match by the British media is horrible. And of course, his replacement, if they were not looking for his replacement before, they are looking for his replacement now. So if you have a coach, a cousin, a friend that can coach England, send his CV in, because I can guarantee you that they're looking for a coach right now.
Most definitely. Okay, and other games that came up in the Nations League, Christopher Nkunku celebrated his return to the French team with a goal in a 4-1 victory over Israel in the Nations League as Les Bleus edged closer to A2 group leaders Italy, who drew against Belgium. France scoring goals once again.
France scoring goals are plenty. 4 goals to be precise against Israel. It's like Israel can catch a break. That was a bloody match. And they were resoundingly beaten. But for the French, that's a good bounce back, especially after what happened against Italy, where they were expected to come out and be on top and win. Unfortunately, they lost that one. So to get this back-to-back good results, especially the results last night, was a real feel-good result, because they didn't just win, they won convincingly. 4 beautiful goals there, and they were through. But for the Italians, since we are almost running out of time, for the Italians, it was a different kettle of fish. They looked like they were flying high. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, they looked like they were flying high. Got 2 early goals. They were leading by 2-0, and then the red card came, and Belgium was like, just the break we needed. Just the right amount of people on the pitch. We can't beat 11 Italians, but maybe we can try against 10 Italians. Maybe we can try against 10 Italians. And so it was it was a fantastic result by the Belgians to be able to salvage that match. At some point, the Italians also wanted to claim a penalty just in the last minute of the match, but even I knew that nobody was going to give that penalty. The ball, yes, may have hit his hand, but it was too close. His hand was by his body. Everything was all right. So that match ended 2-2. Of course, the Italians will feel like they dropped, 2 points, but the Belgians would have been very excited to get that 1 point.
Most definitely. All right, so let's take messages. Let's take as many as we can as the time begins to slowly tick away. On YouTube, LK Adorogba says, is today's match an AFCON qualifier or World Cup qualifier? It's an AFCON qualifier, actually.
AFCON qualifier.
I want to know if I should start fasting and praying for them to win, because I also want to watch the Super Eagles in America. All right, it's the AFCON qualifiers for Morocco 2025. Uche Nwokoye says, England was stunned yesterday by the Greeks, despite the coach fielding more of his creative players. Sad. Well, he fielded them in the wrong places. Hope that Niger team saw what happened and are ready to walk the talk on the pitch. Go Eagles! Okay, LK replied to Uche and says, from the lineup, it was obvious England would lose. How can a coach play Palmer deep beside Rice? It's ridiculous. And
but people say he should play Palmer. So he played Palmer.
But not, I mean, it's like saying we have played Palmer in goal. Kind of like that, no difference.
It's like really. If you say you put pepper to a cook that does not know how to put pepper, and person goes to put the wrong amount of pepper.
It's gonna be hot. Emeka on WhatsApp says, imagine being a Ghanaian and a Man United fan at the same time. Come on, Emeka, what's this? I'm already imagining an AFCON without Ghana. Any Nigerian win and Ghana will collect banter. As for Saka, I hope it's not a serious one, but I think some international break should be cancelled. First, Odegaard, now Saka. Well, let's hope squad depth carries you through. Tayo says, I hope the Eagles win their match because I'm not fully vested in the team. We are still led by a technical director and hope we don't lament like our Ghanaian brothers. I'm also worried about the security situation. Greece used the whole England to do experiments. England, like Arsenal, it's not coming home. Hi. It's retirement. It's retirement galore. All the best post-retirement. Who's talking to us here? Ifedayo says, good morning, Super Tega, and I, good morning to you too. So I'm not super. Is that it? It's okay.
You are too jealous. You are too jealous.
Tega, leave me.
Do you have CAF accreditation?
I shall have something. Good for Ghana and good luck to Super Eagles as they take on Libya in the double header. And Abel says, so England decided to disrespect a team that had won more international trophies than them in the last 50 years. Why on earth would you play two midfielders as strikers and bench your strikers? I mean.
Keep it simple. Put the square pegs in the square holes. It's simple. Football is simple. All this unnecessary, intellectually tactical. That's why we are buying fuel at the price we are buying fuel. Anyway, let's move on.
Oh my goodness, we need to call it the morning on the locker room. Tega, thank you
so much. I'm telling you, I just want to thank you all for calling, for sending your messages via YouTube, for sending your messages through WhatsApp, and listening to Smooth 98.1 FM, and especially the locker room. And thank you for following our program all through. Hopefully we have a great day today. And I just want to pray that you guys have a fantastic weekend, because I will. On that note, Idon.
All right, Tega, good luck to you and Super Eagles as well as you have a great Friday and a great weekend. Lagos, thank you all so much for being a part of the locker room. Keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. We're going to get talking on Lagos Talks at 9. It's all about the girls today. It's International Day of the Girl Child. We'll be having a conversation centered around that. Don't go anywhere.